Alright, so we are back for another review, and today we're going to be checking a really exciting tin audio here. So this might be the cheapest tin audio that we are checking out here in this channel. This is the T1S, and what's really interesting here is you are getting a BERYLLIUM driver for the $20 price range, and that is actually maybe the first that I have seen here in this channel. And of course it's from tin audio, and they really make good quality stuff, so really excited about this. So looking at the box itself, not much information, but of course we're opening it up. And actually, from what I've seen from the photos, this seems to be similar to maybe the T3 Plus in terms of the look. So they are not doing the metal build quality anymore. They're going for the more maybe typical IEM design, and that can be better for them in the cost. So that's why maybe they can invest more in the driver that they're using. So of course, this is gonna be your unboxing experience, opening it up. I'm not actually sure if I have checked the T1, the original version, but definitely this is really interesting for me. Similar in the packaging as the P1 here. Tinhifi, opening it up, and that is your IEM itself. Wow, that is actually a nice looking IEM. You know, quite an understated look, and I know some people who will like this look. Not much information there, not much design, a very minimalist look here. Right here you are getting additional tips, additional 2 sets or 3 sets of tips here, and this seems to be playing well with that price range. Not the most high quality cable here, so maybe reminds me of a KZTRN kind of cable, so not the best, but we are just paying $20 for this IEM. And of course we are seeing the IEM itself. So first impressions here, this is quite a thin IEM here, so maybe thinner compared to your usual KZs, TRNs. So quite surprising here, and also you're still of course getting that IEM look, so typical IEM shape here. So I stand corrected, this is not like the T3 Plus, so you're not getting some fins here. So maybe this is more of the P1 or P1 Max here, so the design, but this is definitely thinner. And actually this is a quite light IEM as well. So the weight here reminds me of maybe your smaller, maybe bullet style IEMs. Very light to hold here in the hand, and you're not getting actually any branding whatsoever. So very minimalist in the overall packaging here. And actually this is nice because yeah, having this, it might be better for longevity, because this won't be out of style because it doesn't have any branding whatsoever. Of course you're getting that 2-pin connector at the top, and actually the insertion is not that deep as well. So this might be nice for some casual listening here, and you are seeing that BERYLLIUM driver. So we have that maybe mix of see-through and also opaque here. Definitely looks nice here for me. So yeah, it still plays well in that price range. Of course, this won't maybe you know, match up to your more expensive ones, but for that price range, not so bad overall. And I do like that it's quite, you know, quite light to hold on the ear, so you can definitely wear this for a long listening session. So yeah, let's try to put the cables in, and let's see how this wears on the ear. So we are now wearing it on the ear, and that's actually quite a snug fit for me. Actually, it does fit nice, similar to maybe your KZs TRNs, but again the insertion here is not as deep compared to your KZs TRNs. So this is not as snug as those IEMs, but still this is quite a snug fit for me. So this is your typical IEM shape. I would say this is a safe shape on the ear, so it does go fairly inside the ear, so stability is quite good for me overall. Comfort, I can see me wearing this for a long listening session because yeah, this doesn't have some fins, so this is not as maybe suffocating to wear for a long listening session. In terms of isolation as well, maybe average to above average here, quite good, but not as good as your IEMs with maybe better insertion to the ear. So let's have our first listen. So quite excited about this because these are BERYLLIUM drivers for this price range. Let us try some September by Earth, Wind and Fire. And yeah, actually from the get-go, maybe this reminds me a lot of the Blonde 03. So it has that maybe prominent bass at the bottom, but it does have that maybe a bit more shine on top. So this is a bit more trebly Blonde 03. So in the tin audio world, this reminds me a lot of maybe the tin T5s. And if you see the signature as well, you're getting that maybe warm U type of shape to the ear. So you're getting that, you know, ample bass at the bottom with a bit more shine on top. As you guys can see, you're still getting that 12K. You're also getting that 8K elevation as well, and also in the mids region as well, you're getting a slight hump there. So it has some similarities, a lot of similarities with the Blonde 03s, but again, make this a bit more shiny on top. And yeah, first impressions here, I like the smoothness in the sound. There's some micro detail as well, and quite a big stage. Let us try another track, maybe some Perm by Bruno Mars. So going to the bass region here, so definitely a lot of bass here, and compared to the Blonde 03s, the bass here is gonna be more tight to listen to, but definitely there's some mid bass hump here, so you're still getting that ample bass at the bottom. So here for some Perm by Bruno Mars, it resolves the bass bass with ample impact. So this is not gonna be your monitoring or maybe a reference, type of bass here. So the bass here is really impactful for me in the mix. So again, for some pop, for tracks like this, for some for by Bruno Mars, for bassy tracks, for some EDM, for some K-pop as well, the bass here will resolve it nicely for you. Let us try another track. Maybe some Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. And I like the definition of the bass, the weight in the bass here. So definitely that BERYLLIUM driver bass, really nice here. There's some speed as well in the overall presentation of the bass. And in terms of the quantity, maybe a touch more elevated than what I would like, but very close here. But definitely this is more of an engaging bass for me in the mix. This is not going to be your monitor or maybe your reference type of pair. Going to some Cocaine by Eric Clapton, going to the vocals and the mids. So yeah, the positioning for me is actually pretty good in the overall presentation. Again, this is slightly recessed in the mix, but it's nearly there for me. And I like the full-bodied presentation in the vocals. Compared to maybe other dynamic drivers, because of the BERYLLIUM driver here, you're getting a bit more raspiness, a bit more maybe micro detail in the mix. In terms of the overall presentation, this is more of a warm presentation for me of the vocals. So this is not a super revealing presentation for me. And actually what I like about that is the vocals are well controlled. It's not shouty to listen to. So maybe much like the Blonde 03s, reminds me a lot of the Blonde 03s in the presentation here. Let us try some female vocals, some Into You by Ariana Grande. In terms of the positioning of the vocals for both male and female vocals, they're quite similar. Pretty good in the overall positioning. And again, much like the male vocals, the positioning, the fullness of the vocal here is still right here. It's still existing, so definitely still really good positioning. And again, much like the male vocals, the presentation here is not shouty to listen to. And there's also a bit more energy on top because of that BERYLLIUM driver. Definitely a bit more engaging to listen to, a bit more lively to listen to. But yeah, the bass here in these types of tracks, maybe some pop tracks, some tracks that are mixed to be a bit more bassy. Sometimes the mid-bass bleed can be maybe a bit too much for me in the overall listen. So it depends on the tracks that you're listening to. But definitely, yeah, the liveliness, the fun is definitely there. So it reminds me a lot of a Blonde kind of sound here overall. So going to the top end, I would say this might be one of the weakness for me of this IEM. So bass is nice, mids is nice. So there's maybe a bit of recession at around 10K region. And that cut makes some maybe instruments lacking a bit of shine there on top. So this is not the most shiny top that you can listen to. But definitely because of that, type of presentation, the bass here is a bit more accentuated in the mix. Let's try some Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. Let us look at the guitars and top end. As you guys can see from the signature, you're getting that maybe 6K and also 12K humps here, but you are getting that maybe 10K recession. Actually, the recession in the 10K is quite substantial here. So actually listening to the whole track for the top end, I can hear that maybe some parts of the treble is maybe back in the mix. Here in this track, the mids and the bass is more maybe prominent in the whole mix. For example, here in the cymbals, maybe it's lacking a bit of sparkle for me. And maybe also back in the mix for me. Let us try I'll Be Waiting by Santana. Yeah, in terms of the guitars here in the intro, so I'm looking for still a bit more sparkle there on top. So again, for some guitar tracks, you might not like this IEM. So yeah, the top end for me is the weakness for me in the overall presentation. Going to soundstage, quite big here, so above average for me. So quite expansive for me in the overall presentation. Separation, pretty good as well. So even if you're getting that maybe smoother presentation, this is not still as smooth as your other dynamic drivers. And also because of that big stage, the separation is still pretty good for me. This is still not a separation monster. This won't compete with your maybe BA counterparts, but the separation here is pretty good overall. Alright, so that's my take with the T1S. So what do I think of this? Firstly, I'm quite impressed that they were able to have these drivers for this price range. I think it's the first for Tinhifi, and that's definitely nice. So definitely, yeah, for that price range, if you're looking for a dynamic driver, if you're into dynamic drivers in general, you don't want to go to BAs, this might be something that you can consider, especially if you like maybe a blonde type of sound. However, in the other side, the top end for me is not the strength of this. That recession in around 10K affects some tracks for me. So this is not as versatile as maybe other IEMs that I have seen. So this will be nice for some pop, K-pop, EDM, bassy tracks, hip-hop as well. However, for some guitar tracks, for some tracks that can utilize the top end, like maybe some jazz, the top end might not give you that shine that you are looking for. So is this a top 5 contender? So for me personally, I'm not quite. So I find the recession in the top end to be a bit too much for me. But still, I would say for the price that you're paying for $20-25, it's really nice that you are getting BERYLLIUM drivers. But in terms of the overall tuning, I do prefer other IEMs in this price range. And actually for the top fives, you're gonna see that in the future. I'm kind of working on them. I actually have a new website or a new revamped website, so stay tuned for that. I will show the updated top fives in my website. Of course, I'm gonna link it down in the description, comments below. So stay tuned for that. So that's my take with a T1S. Of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for content like this in the future. Do you have the T1S? Or what do you think of the overall lesson here? Does this remind you of the Blonde 03 as well? Let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next zpolt review. Goodbye.